And we are back. Got a special guest. I'm doing all right. Bryan Broaddus, I'm sure you're doing fine. Foots isn't normally here with us. Foots, are you doing okay?
I'm doing great, man. Ready to roll.
Oh, man. Foots is doing all right, man. Appreciate y'all for tapping in with us. Y'all tap in with us every night. We love you to pieces for that. Be sure to hit the like and sub and stay tuned because we got some stuff going on. And Bryan Broaddus told me something before. y'all hang tight. You hear me? Y'all hang tight. But we got some work to get into. The Cowboys, we are in the Tuesday portion of beating the Browns. So we've broken down the film. We've told y'all about the film. Bryan got some questions, and we got Foots to help answer them. So this should be fun. Hopefully one of us disagrees. We have a good fight. Bryan Broaddus, take it away, sir.
Thank you very much, Foots. It's great to be with you again, my friend. And
as always, Bryan.
It's nice. I appreciate it. I love being on this platform with you guys. So here we go. I got some questions. I had these questions for my guys on the break today, the Cowboys break. And I know there's maybe a little bit of some crossover on the platforms and stuff like that.
Okay.
Maybe some people don't listen to the break. They love this podcast more, vice versa. But here we go. I think these are some good questions. I think they'll make these guys think. Since you're the guest tonight, Foots, I'll start with you. Which one of these defensive rooms were you the most impressed with from this last game?
Ooh.
Which one of these defensive rooms were you the most impressed with from this last game?
Bryan, this is tough because the low-hanging fruit says linebacker. But, Bryan, I got to tell you, that secondary played damn good, man. And if we talk about the safety play, like a lot of those balls, like with that post that they try to run, and they try to get one to Judy, and then they try to get one to Cooper. They try to try as deep a few times, and it was like nobody, like nothing, like not an ounce of separation. So the low-hanging fruit says linebacker, Bryan, and the linebacker play was excellent. But I think I'm gonna go secondary, man, because I think we kind of knew what Overshown would be based on his preseason last year. Like people who follow the Cowboys, anybody who, if you listen to Voch, you listen to Bryan Broaddus, man, they need an Overshown. Man, they need a guy who can run through and tackle. And so we're not surprised by what Overshown's doing. I got to tell you, Bryan, and we'll see how he deals with speed. I'm impressed with Kalen Carson. I'm impressed, bro. We expect this from Trevon Diggs. Carson, off the boat, 5th-round pick, go guard Amari Cooper, 16 yards. I'm going to go secondary, Bryan.
How about you there, Voch?
Foots gave a fantastic answer, but I tell you what, because, see, when I watch film, I don't just watch it one time. I watch it 2, 3, 4 times. And when I just watched it looking at the defense again, I noticed that this D-line made everybody's job a little easier.
Sure.
Your linebackers was able to run because your defense was just terrifying folk. And to your point about corner, I was just watching the film and I was like, man, I know we didn't get pressure on this play.
Yeah.
But if you're going to get rid of the ball in 2 seconds in the flats behind the line of scrimmage, throw a little slant, Kalen Carson was able to jump a lot of those routes because it was coming out so quickly, Yeah. We don't really have to worry about, and we just talking about this game because if you block better in the future, maybe it looks different, right? If you would say that Kalen Carson or Diggs or Bland, whenever he comes back, if you say that those guys got a weakness, or even Jordan Lewis, you would say a long developing route or some type of double move. You ain't got time to do that because your guy is getting beat up front, So I feel like there's not many offensive lines that are just Teflon, right? To where they got 5 guys across. The Falcons may have one, but they ain't play like it. The Eagles got a really good offensive line. You know what I'm saying? We'll run into those guys at some point, the Lions. But for example, we got the Saints next week. The Saints offensive line would be a little bit better than the Browns offensive line, but they still got Trevor Penning over there. As long as I can find the scrub somewhere on your line,
sure,
it speeds things up just a little bit. So you could say that Trey, Kalen Carson, and Jordan Lewis had a fantastic day because Deshaun Watson's clock was just a little bit quicker. You could say that, Kendricks and Overshown or Clark, Louisville, Vigil, whoever, you could say that those guys played a little bit better because it just wasn't as muddy up front. So I would have to say D-line, they were very impressive.
Yeah, you know what? I I'll tell you what, the D-line, I like what you're saying there with that. The thing, I kind of agree with Foots on this one. And I agree with him in the way of, I felt like going into the game, that was the biggest unknown.
Sure.
I had an idea about the safeties. I wanted to believe that Carson was going to play well, just from the work that we've all done on the draft, the Wake Forest tape, the time we got to see him in practice here with the Cowboys, the preseason games. And to be honest with you, I didn't know how Diggs' knee was going to respond.
Sure.
And I have a lot of folks over there that I trust that work on that medical team. A lot of guys over there that have been great friends of mine for 15 years. And I think that they all should be proud, and Diggs should be proud for the way that he stepped up, because we've seen these knee injuries not come back for 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the guys start playing. I had a lot of anxiety about that. Once I determined that the Browns were going to be compromised on their offensive line, and that's no disrespect to Dallas, because Dallas got after their ass. Matter of fact, if you look at the metrics, the 3 inside guys, the guard, the center, and the 2 guards gave up most of the pressure. You know, I mean, the way that Dallas was attacking them, and I know Voch, you and I got into that in our breakdown of the Browns.
Sure.
That hey, the middle of this Browns defense, or excuse me, their offense might not be good enough.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even now we didn't know the tackles were going to be this compromised, but they really were.
One more thing real fast though, Bryan.
Yeah.
On that point about safety, let me just say something nice to Foots about safety. I was worried about Donovan Wilson in the open field.
Was too.
I was a little worried about Donovan Wilson, but just rewatching the film, I can find value in somebody that's going to knock you the hell out. I found value in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with you on that. I think, but maybe the biggest questions I had were, how were those 2 corners going to respond? And I'm not going to lie, I worried about Cooper. I did worry a little bit about the receivers and Judy and maybe what the quarterback was awful. Sure. And that, but the defensive line affected them, defensive backs. I think I really do like your guys' answers on that though. I think that, like I say, linebacker, I think a lot of people would have said linebacker, but man, the defensive line, secondary, all of them played really, really well.
Yeah.
Voch, something you didn't expect in this game, but now you're looking forward to future games with it.
I think Marshawn Nealon was a little better than I thought he was going to be. I didn't expect Marshawn Nealon to do very much as like a pass rusher. I thought he was going to be like a really good rundowns dude. And honestly, I thought they were going to find a way or like to find a reason just to kind of rotate him out. I thought it was going to be, all right, Marshawn Nealon, you're out there to kind of stop the run, but let's let Mike and D-Law just kind of take over or whatever. I thought that was going to be the whole deal moving forward. But Marshawn Nealon earned his way into some more pass rush. Like, he was a top 10 pass rusher amongst everybody in the whole league. He got like 6 pressures or something like that. And look, he wasn't a clean pass rusher. He was like pushing the pocket and effort plays and all this kind of stuff. But Bryan, to be honest, that's how Dorrance Armstrong used to win. Dorrance Armstrong got a lot of sacks because somebody was just running away from Micah. So that at least makes me feel better that we got a Dorrance Armstrong type pass rusher that can give you like the effort sacks, the cleanup sacks, or the cleanup pressures or whatever. But I still think he was super dynamic in the run game. He was super powerful, strong, and they had a little ability to line him up in B gap or even A gap. They put him in A gap a few times and just let him pass rush out there, and Osa was in B gap or whatnot. So Marshawn Nealon, very good first day. I would love to see what he looks like versus a better offensive tackle. And if he does it again, we're going to party.
Voch, you and I were talking in the breakdown before the game again, and maybe the breakdown going into the season, what was the over and under on the number of sacks with this kid? I think it was probably
5 or
low.
6 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, would it surprise? I know it's a 1 game, small sample size, a lot of pressures, for him right out of the jump.
Yeah.
But is it realistic to think this kid can get 5 or 6 sacks?
That dude's motor is so high. when people start running away from Micah Parsons, he's going to clean up a lot of those sacks. Plus, I'm very interested to see, like, what's it going to look like when the quarterback can't run from you? Because we're supposed to have, like, 4 or 5 more sacks, right? So when we played Derek Carr, and Derek Carr can move around a little bit, but he's not like, Watson or anything like that. Is he going to try to get rid of the ball quicker? Is he going to try to get out of the pocket so he can throw the, throw the ball out of bounds or whatever? Or will he just let us sack him? And I think, Watson, terrible as a quarterback yesterday, but at least he was like strong enough to avoid the sacks and kind of get out of the pocket and break the pocket. And, we eventually had to put Overshown over there just to kind of like look after him a little bit. But I would love to see how good all these guys are, especially, but how good they are when the quarterback can't run from you as well.
Foots, something you didn't expect in this game, but now you're looking forward to it in future games.
Man, how about that 98-93 combo? Linval and what is it? Linval 98, whatever
Phillips,
numbers there are.
Phillips and Joseph, yeah.
I like when Mike rolled that out. Both of them, like both of them. One is at the 1, one is at the 3. Now go try to move these big guys.
Yeah,
because Stefanski, he wants to run the ball. And so you've been dealing with Osa, you've been dealing with quickness, you've been dealing with Mozzie, who was okay on film. Wasn't the worst I've seen. Brian, I'd be interested to hear your take on Mozzie because we got to be fair. But I'll tell you this. I thought Osa was very active. I thought Osa, he didn't get home a lot. But Voch, I thought Osa was active.
Sure.
But we know you have 98 and 93 in the clip just in case. So I'm looking for that if there's a team that's just going to say, you know what? And it might be this weekend. We're not going to let Micah pin his ears back. We're not going to let you double A us. We're going to run the ball, try to stay ahead of the chains. I'll be looking to see that package more because I like what I saw.
Yeah.
I think to me that the thing I'm looking for to the most that I really didn't expect, I think Hunter Lipke is going to be a weapon.
Yes.
I think Hunter Lipke is they're going to find ways if they can't get, say, I was talking to somebody today about this. And where I was asking about Ferguson, and I asked about Ferguson, I asked about Stevens, he goes, better chance that Stevens doesn't play as opposed to Ferguson, and so because of the hamstring and all that. Sure. But if they're down on tight ends and stuff, and they get in these 22 personnel looks. And all of a sudden, Hunter Lipke's kind of the extra guy, the 21 personnel, the 2 backs, 1 tight end, or 2 backs, 2 tight ends. Mm-hmm. I think Hunter Lipke could be a weapon to be used. And I'm not saying we saw a guy last night with Kyle Juszczyk. I'm just saying when you watch how maybe you could use a guy. And the thing that Hunter Lipke, he's not I don't know if he's the powerful guy like Juszczyk, but he catches the ball well. He plays on the move. He's becoming a better blocker. And so that was something that I'm kind of thinking about going forward in the future, fullback, H-back, move guy, inline guy, kind of find ways to get him involved in the running game and then get him involved in the passing game. So that was something I really wasn't expecting.
Sure.
But now I've seen it a little bit. I think you could use this guy as a weapon that way. I think he could be a hard cover, especially if you move him around to different spots.
Hey, Brian. Go ahead. Go ahead, Voch.
I would rather them throw the ball to Lipke than to Zeke. Go ahead, Foots.
No, I was going to say
wish you had to do that, didn't you? You couldn't help yourself.
I was just
you
talking
could
about
not
Lipke.
help yourself.
We were talking about Hunter Lipke.
Brian, that's going to be fun with him all season. Trust me.
We were talking about Hunter Lipke. I don't know, but go ahead.
But you want to know something, Brian? I saw it last year.
Jordan Mason showed us what a damn back or what a running back should look like.
That's a back. That kid.
Jordan Mason is a back.
I lost my Georgia Tech tape. I didn't see the Georgia Tech tape.
Me neither. Go ahead, Foots. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, I saw it last year in the Miami game, and he fumbled on the goal line, and so that's all everybody remember. Yeah. But I'm like, man, they sneaking this dude into the flats. He running past folks. They giving him, little dives, and he's picking up first downs. Like Mike trust Hunter Luke. I said this. I said, he was the best rookie of that last year's class, and obviously he was an undrafted free agent. But they trusted him more than they trusted Schoonmaker. Obviously, Mozzie was what he was.
As a low bar, bro. As a low bar. William ain't even here no more. That's a low bar,
Billy,
bro.
hey,
Eric
when
Scott gone. Eric Scott gone, boy.
They
That's
completely reset that class, huh, Voch? But you home run this class, so it's all good.
I don't even know where Eric Scott at no more, but go ahead. What team he play for?
Kansas City practice squad, maybe, huh? Maybe so.
I guess so.
Maybe so. All right. Hey, Foots, how about this one for you?
Yes.
What's the best trade of Jordan Lewis?
Oh, man, he tackled, bro. Oh, my God. That dude was like, when you talk about a fiery guy, like I knew he was always physical. I'm like, man, look at Jordan Lewis flying around. There's one play, and I broke it down on my channel where, okay, they look like they're about to double A mug, and they all, they're getting their drops, Brian. I'm like, okay, cool. And you just see two flying in there with the linebackers.
Slot blitz, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, this dude, and so I don't know if he's rejuvenated. I don't know if he's like, man, you know what? I'm not coming off the field when such and such gets back or whoever. But Jordan Lewis he just looked like a football player, Brian. Like he looked like he could play some safety. He could play on the edge. He just looked like a football player to me. So I would say he's great in coverage, but like it's a tackler, and I think that's underrated for a DB.
Yeah.
Lots, what do you like? What's that best trade of old number 2?
Foot said it, man. Whatever you need from that guy, I just think he could just step up and do it for you. You know, we're going against the Saints again, and I don't think he's gonna be the Alvin guy, you know, like he was 6 or 7 years ago, however long ago it was. But
he's been in the league 8 years now. His 8th season. How about that?
Wow. Blows me away how long he's just been around, just hanging around. He's still one of our best guys here. But just him to go cover whoever you want to cover and come down and tackle and be tough in the leadership of him. You can see him on the field, just watching the film, talking to Kalen Carson, you know what I'm saying? Just redirecting, communicating. Sounds of the sideline just came out, and that was like confirmed. Like he's up there encouraging them, talking to him, you know, all this kind of stuff. Just great leadership. And look, the good thing about Jordan Lewis is we've been trying to bench him our whole life. Like not us, but like them. They've been trying to bench him our whole life. Chris Richard and all this kind of stuff. And Gilmore comes last year, and Jordan's just takes it on the chin, comes to work, and just keeps being one of your best corners. I just appreciate that from him.
You know, you said it right there. Chris Richard. Remember how Chris Richard's like, kid's too short. Don't know if he could do this. Don't know if he could do that. My man just should looked at Chris Richard and said, I'm going to be here longer than you are. You know, one of those things.
Chris Richard with Eric Scott right now. They just hanging out on somebody practice squad. Just shouts out to Jordan.
It's amazing. You're absolutely right. And going into his 8th season, he's one of those guys that keep drafting corners. They keep trying to get rid of him. They keep trying to move on from him. And then what happens? He plays in the slot. He does this. He does that. You know, and he tackles well. He's physical. He's got a nose for the ball. There's a great deal of toughness to his game. I think the best trait he might have is like how resilient he is. Yeah. He just won't go away. And I think I think when you start to talk about guys that have a lot of respect on this football team, I think Jordan Lewis, if you took a poll in the locker room, I think Jordan Lewis would get a few votes for the way he plays. Way he plays. All right, Voch, how about this one? Better debut, Mike Zimmer or Eric Kendricks?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Better debut, Mike Zimmer, Eric Kendricks.
Kendricks got like what, 2 sacks, 9 tackles, and an interception or something like that, which is ridiculous. But man, this run defense looks totally different. Like, and run defense is something that's been bugging the Cowboys for a decade now. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, you know, shouts out to Quinn, but we've had to evolve from that. And, you know, like the looks were just muddy. Just, you know, like I said, come back watching the film like 5 times. We'll put 2 guys on one side, go heavy and put 4 guys on this side, and it'll look like we're blitzing 7 guys, but we only bring 4, drop out D-Law, and just makes it real weird for somebody. And there are times you can see Watson's wheels turning, like something weird to happen, and his eyes will just come back down because he just didn't know what to do with it. The run lanes got filled up, and look, I could possibly say the run game has gotten better because we got linebackers that can run now. We got linebackers that can diagnose now. We could possibly say that. But, man, Trey Diggs was tackling, you know what I mean? And we was flying around like, man, this defense seems like a like a total makeover. And we were getting the noises throughout the offseason that we're not going to prioritize turnovers, but man, when you just get them anyway, you know what I mean? That just shows me that you're doing the right thing. So Kendricks had a hell of a game, but he did get tired. Mike Zimmer did not get tired of whooping people at the end of the game. And look, even when Louisville and Vigil and Clark came in, the same standard was there. So I'm giving it to Michael Antoine Zimmer.
How about you, Foots? Who had a better debut, Mike Zimmer or Eric Kendricks?
I was gonna fight with Voch. I thought he was gonna say Kendricks, but it was 100% Mike Zimmer. I just can't get the Green Bay game out of my head. And to be honest with you, it started with the Bills game last year, Brian. They just leaned in on cover 1 and cover 3 and just like go play football. Mm-hmm. And when you hear the players say, "Hey, we haven't even got to half of the calls," well, it's like now we have a defensive coordinator who's going to scheme. So he's actually going to scheme the OC up. It's not just going to be reactionary football, go run to the ball. Because I tell you now, again, I love Dan Quinn. You go look in Washington with lesser personnel, they're going to struggle. And I've seen good DCs kind of make something out of nothing just because, hey, they know how to scheme. Like, Brian, when was the last time you saw corners playing off man the way that we did, or playing zone the way that we did, like Carson? Like, hey, Carson, you don't got to be in his face. Give him a little bit because this may be an end breaker right here, or your zones, or hey, this is your third, or hey, you don't got to give him some space if you want to break on this ball because you trust yourself, because you tackle. Everything last year was, hey, we're just going to play man. Like Bland, I love him. I don't love him in DK Metcalf's personal space all game. Like, that's a bad matchup, and that's bad coaching to me. And so when you talk about Mike, and it's early, right? But how many times last year did you see successful split safety looks, Brian? Just successful.
Oh, he played a lot of zone in this game too. I mean, that was something he just, if you look at the metrics, I think that thing was, it was over 75% zone in this game. It was incredible what he did. I mean, he knew, though, he had this quarterback on the ropes. He had a really, really good plan. Brian, I think with. Go ahead, Voch, I'm sorry.
Real fast, something that jumped out to me. This is a clip from Zimmer's press conference today. They asked him about Micah Parsons and his usage or whatnot. I think Zimmer impressed the hell out of me with this. If I could just play this for 2 seconds. Listen.
There was a lot of times I wanted to use some other ways, but we didn't get to it, so we'll save them for the next couple weeks. But yeah, I mean, he's a dynamic guy, and we want to try and get him a lot of different places and do a lot of different things with him. They have to figure out where he was. We got a lot more of the double chip protection in this ball game than we anticipated. And we knew they did it, but we need as coaches, we need to do a better job of helping him out with some other of our alignments so that he's not getting chipped every single play.
Brian and Foots, I thought that was so impressive, because how many times were we watching the game last year and we go, man, they just gonna double team Mike all day, triple team all day, they're gonna chop block him all day, and there was nothing to kind of do to mitigate that, right? Zimmer's coming out day one like, man, I didn't like how much they chipped him. We need to take accountability. Us as coaches need to do a better job of moving him around and making sure, just changing the alignments to make sure that he's not chipped and doubled as much. I thought that was incredible accountability. And like Foots was saying in our roundtable chat, like, yeah, man, it's like Dan Quinn just told the guys to line up and just be good and save us. You know what I'm saying? Like, Zimmer is saying, hey, let me do everything I can to fix the little issues going on here. I got sick of seeing Michael double team, triple team. People just holding Micah. Zimmer is saying he ain't fixed it yet, but he said he will, and that's half the problem. Hey, we need to be better as coaches to make sure that this doesn't happen. Because if he's getting chipped and double teamed and triple teamed, he's not as good as he can be.
I think Mike sent a message there too to other teams' offensive coordinators.
Yeah,
like, okay, yeah, I realize you're going to watch that tape and you're going to think, okay, this is how you might need to handle Micah Parsons. And maybe some people are going to go back and watch some other games where he played and try and figure out. But the thing that Mike Zimmer will always do is he will always put his guys in position to make plays. He will. He will figure out. He's not one of these guys that sit there. And I know, Voch, this drives you nuts when all of a sudden, let's take Micah rushes 50 times and 25 of them are against Trent Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, that drives us all nuts. I mean, find the guys that can't block. Not every team has 5 guys that can block.
Yeah.
Some teams are blessed to have 3, 4 guys that can block. But if you could always find the one guy that is going to struggle in a game, put as much pressure on him, make that opponent have to protect that guy, much like what Dallas had to deal with Chaz Green that one time.
Yeah.
But they just kept Chaz Green out there to die. But Mike will find ways of doing this. I think he's sending a message to the fact that he's lining Mike up on the same side with Tank Lawrence, and there's going to be a lot of different comments. I wouldn't be surprised you see a deal with Micah and Tank, Osa, all these guys on the same side. I mean, they're going to get creative with some of this stuff, and they took advantage of an offensive line that had their tackles were out, but their inside 3 were not very good either. And so I like to say that to me was really, really encouraging from a standpoint. And Micah has to be thrilled about that too. I think at least, through what we're hearing through the, Micah not being here for the OTAs and all that, they made us all a little bit crazy, but I think they're making up a lot of ground. What we saw in training camp, and now, at least through week 1, I think there's a lot of trust now between Micah and Mike Zimmer on what's going to happen here going forward. Voch, how about this question for you? The player you were the most happy for in this win, and why? The player you were the most happy for in this win, and why?
Oh, Brian, man, y'all already know, man. I've been waving my fingers saying bad things about this character since this Oklahoma film, man. I was like, oh, there's no way this dude finna come into the league week 1 and be ready. And before you know it, he works a little hard, and all of a sudden he's clearly better than Chuma Edoga. And we go, all right, the schedules come out. You got Myles Garrett week 1. And hey, listen, he didn't tire TJ Watt and those guys, he didn't Tyron Smith anybody, but boy, he didn't kill us. And I'm incredibly proud of Tyler Guyton and the work that he put in. He went out there and he fought a heavyweight fight. And hey, if Myles Garrett got 1 second of pressure, would you live with it? Sure, you could live with it. But even more impressive, he was pretty good in the run game, better than I thought he was going to be in the run game. I didn't think he was a very physical player. I didn't think that he was going to be able to get very, very, very much movement in the run game, but he was moving folk in the run game. And what I did like the most, though, I expect you to have a tough time against Myles Garrett. But when you're not going against Myles Garrett, do you look good? And he looked really good versus 90 or 99, some of those other guys that were just over there. Smith and those guys.
Wonku, yeah.
He looked really solid versus those guys over there. So that makes me feel confident that when it's not Myles Garrett or Cam Jordan or TJ Watt or Brian Burns or some of these other killers that we got to go up against, I feel pretty good about the left tackle from Oklahoma.
Foots, who's the player you were the most happy for in this win, and why?
And before I go any further, what accountability from Voch, because he definitely took a crap on Tyler Guyton. I just had to throw that jab.
I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong. He just went to work. He went to work.
And I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna say this too, Voch.
Sure.
It's pretty cool that you get battle tested early. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, it's fine. You lose a rep because it wasn't pretty.
Foots, we asked that yesterday. I talked to Brian yesterday. I said, Foots, let me ask, Voch says this, Foots. Would you rather have week 1, right? Would you rather have an easy opponent and kind of build your confidence and steamroll them and whoop them? Or would you rather test yourself? You may lose, you may get whooped, but a battle tested opponent early week 1, and then you walk away from that game with that kind of confidence. Which one would you rather have, Foots? The easy ass whoop or the tough fight? Which one would you rather have?
Not just for Guyton, for the football team.
Everybody,
Brian.
sure.
I wanted the Browns. Listen, everybody's talking about the offense, Brian. I don't know if you're gonna get to one of those questions. Dog, the Browns have great personnel.
Sure.
I know we live in this Cowboys world. The Browns are a great football team. So to answer your question, Voch, without question, throw Tyler in the fire. You threw Tyler Smith in the fire. Throw Guyton in the fire. But to not get too far off track, my guy is Cooper Beebe. And I'll tell you why. And I thought Voch was going to take this, so it's cool. Because I was going to double dip, man. Because Cooper Beebe, guys, he couldn't snap the ball in training camp.
Mm-hmm.
like he could, but he couldn't, Brian.
Mhm.
You know, and he really dug in. The power was there.
Sure.
Better mover than Hoffman. I mean, you know, the offseason hope for Hoffman, cool. But I remember Voch sending me a text. Everybody's talking about all this stuff in preseason. And Voch sends a text at like 8 a.m. He like, dog, I don't know what these people talking about, but Cooper Beebe is starting center. And I was like, Voch, I'm glad you see it because I don't know what the heck people are talking about. I don't know how you get entangled, twisted. You look at his lower half.
Yeah.
You look at his hips, Brian. You look at his bend. I said this. I remember watching you, Brian. He was like, he's a fridge. You always used to compare guys. This is when I first got into covering the draft. It's like, I want my guards to be refrigerators. His size is an advantage. You can't, he's always has good leverage.
Yeah.
And he's a powerful guy. So I thought he held up well. It was a battle in there for him as well. But I thought that's the guy that I was definitely most proud of, Brian. Easily.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, those are good. I was really happy for Overshown.
Yeah.
And I was happy for Overshown because last year, and Voch, you and I always laugh about this, about how he looked and how he played in the preseason last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there thinking, this cat's, he gets it. And you know what? Maybe this is going to sound terrible, but maybe being with this current coaching staff, with Mike Zimmer, with this group, maybe, and nothing against Dan, and I'm not trying to be, McCurley, I know is the, George Edwards and all. I mean, there's all these coaches and stuff that they've had linebacker coaches through the days.
Sure.
I just kind of feel like though that this kid, after what he went through last year, I think it's made him an even tougher player. And I mean, and Voch, you always get on me about, I watched that last preseason game and he played 6 plays and he had 3 tackles and then he gets hurt. And I'm like, this is one of the most incredible training camps I've ever seen a kid have, and just how active he was. I'm thinking, my gosh, this kid playing potentially with Leighton Vander Esch and maybe Clark and all that. This room that he's playing in currently is better for him. It's better for him to play in this room that he's currently in with McCurley and the others,
Gunther and those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he, and Kendricks and, guys like that. He's in a better spot now with this coaching staff and then with the guys that he's playing with in the room, because you could see when I remember watching him in the OTAs and they were running him through drills. And I remember sitting there thinking, my gosh, this guy is massive size-wise. And he's moving the way he is with the knee the way it was. Credit to him for coming back. Credit to Britt Brown, the trainer that got him back. I mean, he's that speed, that burst. Voch and you and I were breaking down the tape last night of the play. It looks like a disaster on the end. They're trying to run the twist stunt. They got everybody wadded up. Now the ball's to the edge. You're thinking Watson's like, I've got this edge. I can go get a first. And all of a sudden, this guy in the middle of the field decides he's going to go make a play.
Sure.
He's going to go make a play. He is not. And then Watson's caught between, I'm going to run it, and then it becomes, oh, damn, I'm not going to make it. I got to maybe throw it. And then, Overshown's on top of him. This kid, I just – there's the instincts, there's the toughness, there's the ability to close, there's the ability to finish. He is. I am super happy for him after what he went through, because this could be the second year of us all talking about this kid's like, wow, this kid's this kid could take that leap. That kid could be the next one. But he playing with this group, I was really happy. I was happy for him, and I was happy for Diggs.
Yeah,
I was happy for Diggs to come back.
Yeah,
because Diggs was on a run, and Diggs had signed the big contract. And there's times with Diggs he drives you nuts, and then there's other times where you're like, damn. I mean, that was a damn good play there. So I was glad to see the guys that were hurt. You're always happy to see them come back.
Sure,
because that rehab stuff, these coaches and trainers and stuff will tell you that rehab process is a lonely, hard job.
Yeah.
You're out there, it is, there's a lot of days where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play. It's hurting today. I don't know if I can do this and stuff. And those guys that came back from all this, man, you got to give them a lot of credit. I'm happy for all those rehab guys.
Yeah,
I really am. So
sure.
Anyway, that's it on my questions for the night.
Well, damn. Hey, Bryan Broaddus, let me tell you something, man.
You got questions for me? You got questions for the panel? You got any more questions?
I kind of asked it. I really just wanted to pull up that Zimmer audio or whatever. I just kind of wanted us, to react to it a little bit because I just love it when my coaches are accountable and all that kind of stuff. But man, look, Bryan, phenomenal questions, by the way. I just want to let you know, and don't ever feel like, oh, just because I said them here, I can't say I'm on the internet, because us YouTube guys are a little different, Bryan Broaddus. We do things a little differently here, so don't just Foots, did you have anything else that you wanted to ask or just bring to the table or anything like that?
I got one panel question,
please,
for everybody. Good defense kind of bailed you out in the second half.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Voch, who's gonna be the other receiver, other playmaker? You kind of gave us that a little bit, Brian, with Lipke.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you too, because I'm gonna be honest. I got a short leash on one guy, but I'm gonna wait.
Jalen Tolbert, you want Ryan Flournoy in here, Foots the King, don't you? You want to play Flournoy?
You buried my lead. You buried my lead, Foots.
I know who you are at this point. You want to play Flournoy over Jalen Tolbert, don't you?
Let me see if I can get Brian on my side. Right? It's not that I want to play him, Vacho, but I want to see more, because I just got a feeling what's gonna happen is teams are gonna say, "CD, you're not gonna beat us."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then teams are gonna say, "Hey, First of all, we don't know when Ferguson will play again. We don't know when it's gonna happen, if he's where he's at."
Sure.
And then, so I just want to know, because obviously Cooks had the corner route, and he's gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
But who else, guys? Who else?
I've gone on record and said this, that I felt like Tolbert was the days I was in Oxnard, which were all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It started off him and Brooks battling, and it was very even the first 2 days, first couple practices, first 3 practices. And then Tolbert was a better player. Mm-hmm. Tolbert practiced better, and that's nothing against Brooks. Brooks practiced well, but the mental toughness, the ability to fight through the practices against the Rams, you didn't see him a whole hell of a lot in the preseason, those games, but the practices against the guys, the defensive backs that we're watching play now, I was pretty impressed by Tolbert and the way he played. And I feel like he earned that third job. He earned the third job. And I thought there was a time where maybe he pushes for the 2. I still believe that.
Okay.
I still believe that with him. I'm not with Tolbert. Yeah. Do I need more than one catch? If you ask me something that you were surprised that you want to see more, like I did with you guys, maybe I should have said, I was surprised that Tolbert didn't have at least 3 more catches. Mm-hmm. They need to, and I'm not saying feed him the ball, but he needs to be involved. I think, the blocking aspect of it, I think is admirable. I think his willingness to do that is good. Flournoy's the same way. We've seen him block at the point. He's a big guy. Brooks, they're willing to block. They're willing to do whatever they have to do. I just would like to see Tolbert get more than one catch. And maybe that's, if it's 3-4 catches, but I think he's capable of that. So I'm going to go on the route of I need probably a couple more games, and then we'll reevaluate where we're at with that third receiver.
Bryan, let me ask you a question. Do you think Ryan Flournoy is a better wide receiver than Turpin right now?
Than Turpin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Flournoy is a better receiver than Jalen Brooks right now?
I would say, to me, probably not.
How many games are you giving Jalen Tolbert? Number one, how many games are you giving Jalen Tolbert to show you something that'll make you feel like, all right, I don't need to move around from him now?
Yeah,
because I would have. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to need to get through. What is it like? It's if I get the schedule right, I'll mess this up for sure.
You got Saints, Ravens, Pittsburgh,
Baltimore,
Pittsburgh,
mm-hmm. And then is it Giants after that?
Giants, probably Giants. Yeah, Giants after that.
Give me through that Giants game.
And see what it's looking like.
Because if you remember last year, was it how many weeks did the offense stink until they kind of figured it out.
It was the Chargers game.
To the bye week.
To that Chargers game.
After the bye
Yeah,
week. Yeah,
so
after the bye week.
I'm willing to give Tolbert the month of September to kind of figure this thing out. And if I have to go into the first week of October, but if, 5 games, I think is fair enough for him. But if it's a 1 catch, no catch, 2 catch, I might be thinking about something else at this time. But if I need him to have a game where he has 4 or 5 catches and he's part of it and he's getting into it and to justify, because if that's the case, then yeah, let me see Brooks. Let me see Flournoy. Let me see some others then if that's, but Dak's got a lot of confidence in Tolbert. He really, really does. And it's a little bit, but I was looking at metrics in that game, the Cleveland game. Cleveland had the third, actually it was the second. They're tied with somebody. They had the second highest tight window throws in the NFL this week of the teams.
Good DBs, man.
It was tough.
Yeah,
they
were right at
Good
they were
DBs.
right at like 28%
Yeah.
of the throws that Dallas made in that game were tight window throws.
Yeah.
Like it was second most
It's
in
a
the
good
league.
stat. It's a good
Yeah.
stat, bro.
So, you're thinking, Lamb, Tolbert, Cooks, you got to find a way, man. I mean, you got to find a way. And those are good defensive backs. We knew that going in, but I need Tolbert to make more than 1 catch a week. I need 3 to 4 catches. Maybe, if he gets 4 or 5 targets, I need 4 or 5. I need catches, and if not, then it's going to be Brooks, Flournoy, but I'm going to find somebody. Because you're going to need all these guys.
Yeah. There was just a moment in that game where, okay, they're trying to take CD away. Ferguson couldn't get going. The run game couldn't get going. Yeah. All right. Instead of this offense stalling, how about the guy that got the best matchup on the field? And it's Jalen Tolbert, right? And if you can, I want you to exploit whoever's on you. And I understand tight window throws and all that, but man, you the 4th option, bro. like they was looking at Ferguson. They was looking at Cooks, especially after he hit him. And of course they was looking at Lamb, bro. Like, do something for us, Tolbert.
Yep,
and
I agree.
That's spot on, Voch. That's where I want to see the OC say, you know what? You got the Emerson or whoever, and you don't have any safety help. Hey, we're gonna raise up and throw slant. Hey, we're gonna raise him and throw 9, or we're gonna get you involved. That's so you spot on, Voch. If I can get that, Bryan is spot on. If I can get 3 catches a game, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be. If he gets opportunity to get 4 targets, 3 catches, 5 targets, 4 catches. It needs to be something. It just can't be 1 catch and then go away for 2 games, a 0 and a 0. We went through that with Michael Gallup, and Michael Gallup wasn't right. Gallup wasn't right. He wasn't healthy. He wasn't mentally all there. I shouldn't say he wasn't healthy. He just wasn't confident enough in the way he was playing. And, that's if those targets are going elsewhere, then and it's, or the targets are coming to him and they're not resulting in plays, I am not opposed to making changes. Right. I'm not opposed to that. But I will say this. I think the quarterback right now would fight for Tolbert. I think he would fight for Tolbert. And if they brought him in and said, hey, we're thinking about making a change, if they said it this week, I think Dak would say, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. That's just being around some things and hearing some things.
Fellas, phenomenal show.
Yes.
Phenomenal show. I appreciate all y'all coming through. I appreciate y'all coming together and Bryan just having questions for us, and we just back and forth and on. Hey man, that's what it's all about, man. We're gonna continue to break down this team and give you the ins and outs of it. And when Bryan asks questions, we all gonna talk back and we gonna fight Bryan Brackett. We gonna have some great things to say. So keep on tuning in. Foots, thank you so much for being a guest to the We Doing All Right Lombardi's podcast. Thank you very much, sir. If y'all want to follow him, he's at Foot. Now Foots, is it Foots Duck King or Foots THE King on Twitter and YouTube?
Everything's the same now. Voch, shout out to you.
Yeah, okay. I did fuss at you a little bit till you fixed. I did fuss at you. You did. Foots the King on YouTube and on Twitter. Tap in with him. He's a good follow. I'm Voch Lombardi, of course, and Bryan Broaddus. Check him out on his socials. Hey, we love y'all to pieces. We'll catch y'all next time. Crown.